Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotel. Today we have the infamous Jackie Brown inside the building. We're at the Rico conference. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Bruce.
Anytime, anytime. We're going to be talking about how to frame your hotel for exposure when it comes to Gemini. Some of the things that you need to work on so that you're right at the top in that description when AI tries to give you a diagnosis or give to guess a diagnosis of what they need to know. How did you get started in this business? That's the first question I always ask everybody.
Well, I like to say that I'm a marketer by trade. So I've been marketing for about 20 years and in both in-house and agency side for B2B and B2C. But I've been in the hospitality industry for about 8 years now. So I still think of myself as fairly new because I've never worked in a hotel. So
Okay.
I always am very reliant on talking to my hotelier friends to get the real perspective. But I quite randomly
Hmm.
applied for a job at Amadeus Hospitality and then ended up leading their marketing strategy and product marketing and I was there for about 7 years. And now, AI is changing how people are searching, right? Even on Google,
That's right.
what's coming up right away, and it's how people are asking questions.
Hmm.
So a lot of what I'm trying to work on is how do you figure out how to create content that answers those questions?
Very good. Very good. Like Gemini,
Gemini,
Copilot. I'm still trying to
Copilot.
master Copilot.
So even just when you go to Google, right, the results that come up first are AI results. And so the data now is showing that people aren't even scrolling down the page,
That is true.
which is wild.
That
And
is
then you talk to certain demographics, especially I spend a lot of time with tech people. They're not even using Google anymore. They're just using ChatGPT for their search and things like that. I don't think that's the general population yet. Um, but I do think that that is something that we're thinking about for marketing. How do we create content that is answering the questions and talking about things in the way that people are searching? And what are they trying to find? And so when we're thinking about restaurants, I think that some of that can be what are the types of experiences? Do you create something that's unique? How do we talk about that more? And not just with your menu, right? How do you, beyond showing your menu, can you talk more about the experience that you provide so that people can find that from search?
nice, nice. Gemini is changing the game. What is going on with Gemini?
Right. So there's Gemini, there's ChatGPT, you might hear OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude, right? They're all
I love
LLMs.
Claude.
There's so many different language models, right? And they're all doing different things. They do some things better than others. And everyone has their own preference, right? Which one do they enjoy most? But what I'm thinking a lot about when it comes to marketing is how does this impact search? How does this impact your property, your brand being found?
Now, back to the preference. You can have your own preference as long as it's bald.
I recently heard a friend refer to someone as a bald wonder. I think you could take that.
We're gonna go with that. The bald wonder. Now, it's as far as being found, it's getting harder and harder
Yeah.
because what's happening is people are searching for one thing, and like AI would give them a description.
Right. They're not even going down the page. And so there's data showing you're looking at Google and the average person is you're getting the answer right at the top via AI and they're not even scrolling all the way down the page. And you're seeing all of these large companies that have been sharing their search data for years. HubSpot is one of them, saying that their actual traffic to their website is seeing a steep decline.
Wow.
And they believe, and in particular, it's declined from organic search. They believe it's because people are getting the information that they need via AI, and so they're not actually getting to their website. But what's interesting is that the information from AI might be sharing them as a resource or a reference, right? It might be citing one of their articles, but it's not actually bringing them to the website. So what I think is really critical is trying to figure out what is the type of content you need to now create on your website that is different and going to answer some of those questions.
Mhm. What is I agree with that 100%. But what about the other platforms where AI is not a part of the equation, like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok?
So I think one, YouTube is still, I think, very untapped
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the huge value it delivers from search. So, right, when you look at Google, one of the top things you can do is look at videos. Wouldn't it be great if you ranked at the top for the videos too?
Right. That's right.
We don't see that enough. And, yes, there's TikTok, there's Instagram. I always say, so I taught social media graduate courses for a bit. I was a social media manager for 6 years for B2C companies. And those principles haven't changed, even though I will tell you that channels have changed a lot.
Hmm.
You need to be where your audience is. So don't spread yourself too thin in terms of trying to figure out which channel is the right one or trying to be on all of them. Just if you are targeting a much younger audience, then TikTok is probably your channel. If you're targeting an audience that is maybe in their 30s and up, Instagram, right? And then you get 50s up, Facebook. It's looking at the data to see where people are and thinking about who your audience is.
What if I wanted to sell $100 tacos?
Well, you probably should go to Miami.
Yeah, I think I need to be on Yahoo Finance. What do you see changing like with the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh my gosh.
With
No.
marketing, of course.
With marketing, well, I do think that AI is changing so much. And so back when I was leading a team of 10 and ChatGPT had just come out, I was nagging them every day, say, are you using this? Are you trying this? How are you using it? What are you learning from it that we can share with everyone? So I think we're still at such a learning point, and it's really about expediting that learning and how do we make ourselves more effective in the work we're doing. And especially, we're still in a world where staffing is hard,
Yes.
right? So, and when I talk to marketers at hotels, I just met one recently. It's a solo marketer for a management company of 20 properties.
Yes.
It's so overwhelming. I told her, call me if you ever just want to talk, right? So, how do we make that woman so much more effective? She's got all the ideas, she just doesn't have the time. Because I've seen some of her stuff and it's really good. I actually came across it on Instagram. I knew about one of the properties because I had seen her really good content. But she couldn't do that for every single property.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you create more, but make it quality and reach the right people? And I do think it's looking like AI is going to be able to help us do that.
I think for most hotels, it's because they don't know what really goes behind the marketing and they really can't touch it.
Yeah.
They can't see the results. Marketing isn't like you pay $1, you get $1,000,000 back. And a lot of them don't want to even pay the dollar to get $1,000,000 back. So because it's that framework, they're like, okay, this one person can handle 1,000 hotels.
Yeah.
And all the hotels end up suffering because of that.
Yeah. And I think that's outside of this industry too. I think it's a lot of companies. Marketing is really hard to quantify.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on what type of marketing that you're doing, right? So some marketing, branding is really hard to quantify. You can, but it's really difficult. Some things are very easy to quantify,
Correct.
but you need to do all of it. And I think that's the most challenging part. When it comes to marketing, you need the brand awareness at the very top of the funnel. And then you need a little bit more information. You need to get people to your website, have that amount of info so people are interested, they're considering you before you get them into this conversion and loyalty phase. And all of that should have different types of content that has slightly different messaging based on the familiarity that you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any tips and tricks that you got up your sleeve that you want to give us before you go?
So I think first off, why don't you look yourself up Ask some questions to your favorite LLM. Ask ChatGPT, ask Perplexity. I asked Perplexity and I posted on my own LinkedIn what the results were. See, is this the type of company that would be good for you? Is this the type of property that people want to stay with? Think of the questions that your guests, your customers would be asking, and test them out and see what comes out of it.
Absolutely. You know what? That's a really good idea. I like that idea. How can everybody get in touch with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn at Jacki Schroder Brown, or you can look me up on my website at JackiBrownMarketing.com.
And thank you so much for watching another episode. This is Bruce Jordan of Micro Jordan Hotels, signing out.